Hi everyone, it's Hubert Shorter here with another video from you know what. Anyway, I'm sure people have seen this. It's been out for a couple of days and everyone's been looking forward to the global launch map as they do for every single launch of every single massive game. And the Veilguard is no exception. So what we've got here are the launch times for different parts of the world, obviously. Sometimes some people are a little confused in terms of what this actually means. It doesn't actually mean that the game is launching at different times. It's launching at the same time all over the world, but because of the time differences, 9 a.m. Pacific time is going to be equivalent to 4 p.m. GMT. Now, I'm based in the UK, so at 4 p.m. on the 31st, I'm going to start downloading the game through Steam, getting ready to jump onto that. It is a working day for me, so I'm not going to be playing it immediately. And as a matter of fact, one of the things I'm going to be doing, and I'll probably do it on the Saturday, is do a live stream of the creation of my character, and then we'll launch straight into the game and maybe go through the first hour or so of it. So, depending where you are in the world, you can see what your launch time is. So, make a note of it. We all know the date. We've just got to know the time when we can immediately start loading that game. Now, it does say that if you are an owner of an Xbox, and you might already be aware of it, you might have done it already, you can start preloading. The preload started on the 14th. For PlayStation 5, it's on the 29th. Now, the reason why there is no preload for the PC is because they've decided not to include that DRM software called Denuvo. Bioware have basically said that they want to trust the fans, so they've not included it. And I think that's probably a good thing, because it does show a certain level of trust. There's no question about that. I do think it's a good thing. I mean, obviously it means that for PC you can't preload, but that's fine. You know, even if you had the ability to preload, you still wouldn't be able to play the game until the launch date. And I know some people will say, well, yes, but at least you had it preloaded so you could start playing instantly. You've got to take the good with the bad, I think, but there you go. Okay, now I do want to move on and talk a little bit about the PC requirements, because I'm a PC player. A lot of people are going to be playing this game on PC, and we just want to be sure that we've got the right sort of specs on our hardware to handle this game. Now, for me, this is a little bit scary, because you've got two options, as you can see here: ray tracing off and ray tracing on. And we go from minimum to recommended all the way up to ultra. Now, I obviously would want to play the game on ultra settings. So if you want to play it at 4K 2160p at 60 frames per second, we'll ignore the operating system, because we can assume that everyone's running the latest OS. According to this, you should have a Core i9 processor. That's one heck of a processor. Now, I've got an i7. I don't have 16 cores. I don't have 24 threads. I've got 8 cores and 16 threads. So that's going to be an issue for me. I've got more than enough RAM. Look at the graphics card. They are saying, and if you are an NVIDIA person, and I am, you need to have an RTX 4080, or if you're AMD, an RX 7900 XTX. That's a little bit troubling for me. Obviously, we want to be able to play the game, and we want it to look as gorgeous as possible. But I think for a lot of people, there will always be some non-negotiables. Now, for me, my non-negotiable is that I have to be able to play it at 60 frames per second. I'm not really interested in playing it at any lower frame rate, 60 FPS standard. So clearly I'm going to have to tweak some of the settings to get the frames per second I want at the resolution that I want. Because you can see the recommended is 1440p at 30 frames per second. Higher resolution, lower frame rate. That's not good enough for me. 1080p, 60 frames per second. Okay, that's HD, but I want a higher resolution. So I'm definitely going to be tweaking those settings to get what I want. Now, all of that is with ray tracing off. I also want to be able to play the game with ray tracing on. Not on and to the max and all of that, but I want to have certain ray tracing features available. So for me, I'm looking at the RT selective column here, and I can see at 4K, 30 frames per second, yes, you've got the 4K, but you've lost the FPS. That's not good enough for me. Now, I can probably accept 1440p at 60 frames per second. I can just about manage that if I really, really had to. And for that setting, again, depending on what ray tracing features I select, there will be support for 8 cores and 16 threads, which my i7 has. So that's good news. 16 gigs of RAM as per usual. For me, because I'm an NVIDIA person, it says here the RTX 3080. Well, I've got an RTX 4070, so that should be fine. I've got 12 gigs of video RAM, so that's also fine. And the 100 gigabyte storage space is standard anyway. So, of all of those ray tracing features, I'm thinking that perhaps I'm going to be in that RT selective column. Again, my non-negotiable is 60 frames per second. It'd be interesting to know what yours is. Add your comments below. Will you be playing the game at 60 frames per second? Are you going to be going for 4K, or are you prepared to settle for 1440p? Maybe I shouldn't describe it as settling, because it's okay, and really and truly I'm prepared to play at 1440p if I have no other choice. But do let me know below. Of course, if your rig can handle it, if you've got the hardware, you can switch on ray tracing at 4040p at the ultra setting. But again, you've got to make sure you've got the right processor, that your graphics card should be a 3080 if it's an RTX, or a Radeon RX 6800 XT with 10 gigabytes of video RAM. So yeah, money is no object and you've got the hardware for it. Enjoy yourself. But I definitely know that I'm going to be tweaking my RT settings, because I do want to enjoy ray tracing where I can, but not at the expense of the frame rate and the overall gameplay. I don't want to see any stuttering videos or anything like that. It'd be interesting to know what you think, so please do add your comments below. But that's pretty much it. Just a bit of an overview in terms of the news this week as we get closer and closer to the release of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. As I mentioned, next week I'll be talking about the live stream that we're going to be doing on October the 30th, 5 p.m. GMT, where I'm inviting everyone to come into the chat and we can talk about the game, the character creator, the characters that we're going to create, and the faction that we're going to be a part of. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, that is it. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.